Well, we're not quite sure what happened there. We had a little bit of a technical hitch, but we are back, hopefully, and hopefully it's going to be working this time. So sorry about that, and hope we didn't lose too many of you during that little hitch that we had. So today we're going to be talking about whether babies and children survive. Do they, like the rest of us, do they survive death? And if so, who do they go to and what happens to them? Do they grow? Do they learn, or what? Or what? We've had so many questions. This is an issue which is very close to my heart. As usual, we have Gregor, who is standing to my right side here. We have Carolyn, who's standing to my far right, and she's going to be the one who is going to be taking your questions. We have to apologize right at the beginning for not being able to answer all of the questions, but we will have this topic again as we're going to be having other topics. So if you don't have your question answered today, don't give up on us. We will revisit, and we will keep hold of your questions, and we'll do our best to answer them at some point in the future. So I think because we had all this hiccup, we're going to go straight into the questions. So good morning, Carolyn, and can we have our first question, please?
Good morning. This is Diana from the Netherlands, and she writes that when she was young, 13 or 14, her parents divorced and she stayed with her father, who died of a heart attack before she was 17, and then she was alone. She says, I met my first husband and had an abortion since we had no house and no money. Later on in life, I had 3 miscarriages and never had a live baby. I lost 2 husbands, one on my honeymoon by a car accident, and the second husband by a heart attack before I was 40. I met my 3rd husband and longed for children, but we had 3 miscarriages due to my age and a chromosome defect by my husband. I'm now 57. It is still hard sometimes to accept so much loss and carry on in life. What happened to my unborn children? Diana.
Diana from the Netherlands. My heart goes out to you, darling. It, sounds like you've had a pretty tough time of things, but yet here you still are, and you've written to us. And sometimes things happen to us and we wonder how we survive it and how we continue living our lives. And good for you that you are continuing that. What happened to your miscarriage, your babies who you miscarried? I believe that, they have survived. They go to our angels who are waiting for them. And, they're taken care of. So some children grow, some babies grow, and some choose not to. It depends on what that soul, remember that child is a soul. Remember, we are all souls and we're here for a reason. We're here for the experiences that we have here. So some souls choose to grow and some souls choose not to. Some, depending on what their needs are. However, your babies are all safe and well, and you are, even though not physically on this earth, you are not a mother, Diana, you are a mother, and those children grown, some of them I'm sure, some of them maybe not, not sure, but you are a mother, and they do visit you often, and they do surround you, and you still do have an influence on them. And there's this saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I'm sure that because of your experiences, darling, that you've become a much more empathetic and a much stronger person. Let's have our next question.
The next question is from Joelle. I'm not sure where she is. It's a 2-part question. Does a soul who has been aborted by mother's choice feel rejected or angry? And why would a soul go through all the trouble of entering the womb, often to survive 9 months, just to die?
Hi, Joelle. Well, I can actually answer this question because this is going to perhaps sound odd to some of you, but when a soul comes to this earth plane, usually prior to that journey, the soul has certain things, certain reasons for coming, certain reasons why they want to have this earth journey, and it's almost always to learn, to grow, to become stronger, to become more of who you are, and to become more light. Now, there are souls who choose to have the experience of the womb, but not to go any further, not to necessarily have the experience of walking this earth and living this earth life, but simply to have the experience of the womb, to have the experience of what it feels like to be this close in the womb with another soul, another spiritual being. And that is all the experience that they need, and that is all the experience that they want. When I first discovered this fact, it made me feel good, because I personally have had 5 miscarriages, and I was lucky, unlike our previous questioner, Diana, I was lucky eventually to have had my daughter Samantha. But when you're going through miscarriages, or when you're going through still, you go to the full 9 months and you have that baby who is then stillborn. I had a sister-in-law who had that happen to her. It's a devastation to you, and you wonder sometimes, what did you do? What did you do that God should punish you so? But we have to remind ourselves, first of all, death is not a punishment, and it is a beautiful and a wonderful experience. But we also have to remind ourselves, and it's hard when you've gone through the experience of miscarriages, or when you've gone through the experience of losing a baby. It's very difficult. But for me, when I discovered the truth, which is that each soul chooses what its experience is going to be, not necessarily how they're going to have that experience, but what they want from the experience, the earth experience, it makes perfect sense to me that there are souls who really don't want to live that full earth life. They simply want the experience of the womb, and they want the experience perhaps of that soul who houses the body where they are birthed, where they are grown, where their soul resides, even if it's only for a very short time. So why do they go through the trials and tribulations? Why does a soul choose to do that? Because that's what that soul has chosen in order for them to grow, to become light, to become more light. Again, with my own 5 miscarriages, I don't think, to be honest, too often about them. Perhaps that's because I have a child who I focused pretty much my entire attention on, certainly until she was in her 20s, and even now she's in her 40s, and I'm still focusing my entire attention on her and my grandson. But however many children you have, whether you choose to abort a child, or whether you lose that child in a miscarriage through seemingly no fault of your own or no decision of your own, it is tough. It's very hard. But again, that soul has chosen to have that moment of experience with that soul and connecting with that soul, and forever after that, those 2 souls, the soul of the mother who housed that child and the soul of the child itself, they are forever connected. So we don't lose those children, even though we perhaps can't even see them. We don't lose them. Let's have our next question.
This is from Linda from Meetup. Who takes care of the babies in the spirit world?
Hi, Linda from Meetup. Who takes care of the babies? I have had some incredible and wonderful experiences, and one of those experiences, which I've had a few times, one of those experiences is through astral travel, being able to fly with our angels, and to go to, this might sound weird, but to go to that field of daisies where our children grow. Now, I'm going to explain just briefly. If you want to know more about this, you have to read, I don't remember which book this story's in, but you have to read all of my books to find this experience. But our children, whether they are miscarried, whether they are aborted, or whether they are just a few days old, or actually whether they are, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever, but as they leave this earth plane and they go up into the spirit world, our angels are there waiting for them and carrying them, and they carry them almost as if to this place of this field of daisies. And these children are like flowers. They are like beautiful flowers, beautiful daisy. And they grow in this field and they're nurtured in this field. Now, I don't mean an actual field. I'm not talking about, the field that the farmer goes in and plows. It's a metaphor. If you can imagine this enormous field of flowers, which represents all of these beautiful children, the babies of this earth, who are then lost to us. And they're in this field where our angels will teach some of us who leave, some of us choose to help our angels to pick those daisies out of the field and take them and nurture them and keep them safe. And very often, in fact, I think it was last Saturday when I had my event in Sarasota, there was a lady there who'd lost her son. There was a lady who'd lost a daughter. And the daughter was telling her parents, the daughter came through from the spirit world and was telling her parents, I'm helping the angels. The angels are training me so that I can help the angels to take care of the children. And I described the field of daisies and to how she went with her angels to carefully pluck, carefully take one of these daisies, one of these children, and help them to survive in spirit world. Pretty neat idea, but lots of us, when we ourselves travel to that next place, we can decide what it is we want to do, and many of us decide, I'd like to help my angels, whatever they're doing, I'd like to help my angels to do this. Next question.
Elsa writes, she aborted a child 26 years ago, and he showed himself to me as 5, but spoke as an educated 26-year-old. How and where was this learned?
Well, Elsa, my heart just goes out to people who have lost their children. Whether it was your decision or not your decision doesn't really matter, because really the decision is not ours at all. This decision is God's decision at the end of the day. But I think, darling, I just answered your question in that I think it's wonderful that you saw him, and that must have given you great comfort to see your child. But where do they learn? Where do they grow? Again, our angels and those of us who volunteer when it's our time to go, we volunteer. There are many volunteers helping their angels to nurture and to educate our children in the way that is good and in the way that is right and in a way that brings them into light and fills them with the light and the love of God. Let's have our next question, shall we?
This is from...
I can see the paper waving about there now.
I'm so sorry.
It just shows you that we really are live here. Yes. Our next question is?
This is, hi Rosemary from Marga. And she says, what I want to ask is for my baby. I lost my baby. It did not get born, and I need to know if my baby has forgiven me. I would not have been strong enough for him. And since that day, I feel empty. I want to know if my baby is okay, if my grandparents and uncles care for him.
Marga, thank you for this question. You probably asked a question that so many of us want to ask. Again, I'm going to remind you that these children, when they come to this earth and they come into our womb, they're there for the experience, however brief that experience may be. They're there for the experience of the womb, and they're there for the experience of connecting with a soul on this earth, connecting with and joining with the energy, to have that experience of what it feels like to be part of this earth experience, to be part of, without having to go through all of the years and years and years of life that they may have. So, you know, when you are saying you feel guilty, I would beg you not to. No one should be judging you. No one can judge another. You don't know what people's circumstances are. And at the end of the day, God decides. And if for whatever reason that child was meant to be and meant to have a life on this earth, however long that life might have been, if he or she was meant to be, I think it's maybe a he, Margot, if he was meant to be on this earth, then God would have made sure that that would have happened. So I think that, you know, you had this wonderful child who simply wanted the experience of connecting with you, and he's still there with you too. Let's have our next question. We've got a storm coming up, I can see. Please, 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 God, don't let us have another technical issue. So if I black out on you, it's the storm that's doing it. So let's just plow on, shall we? Let's go for our next question.
Mary from North Carolina writes, as I have lost 4 of my darling babies, 2 stillborn, 1 5 days old, twin of my daughter Rebecca, and dear Nikki, age 34, 3 years ago. I guess they all hang out together with other loved ones in the spirit world. Would Emma look like her sister Becky? And what about Charles and Tobias? Are they now 26 or do they remain babies?
What is this lady's name?
Mary.
Mary. Oh, Mary, Mary, Mary. Ooh, if you were here with me, I'd want to just put my arms around you and give you a big hug. I don't know the answers to most of this question because unless you were sitting with me and we were having a session together, unless we were, you know, connecting in a session, does the one twin look like the other? I'm actually going to ask Grey Eagle the answer to these questions because I'm not sure what to say to you. So I'm asking Grey Eagle, does the one twin look like the other? And the answer is actually no, they're quite different. One is sort of dark hair, one is light hair. They have individual personalities. I thought Grey Eagle was going to say yes, they look just alike, but no, apparently no. Are the boys grown? The answer to that one is, you see, you don't even need a session with me. We can just do it right here and now. The answer to that one is apparently yes, they are grown. And even as I'm talking to you, Mary, I can see 2 young men just slightly out of my vision here, but I can see 2 young men who want to be known and want to be recognized. So basically, darling, you are surrounded. You are surrounded. And of course, you know that the son you recently lost is also there, and also with them, you've got a crowd. You have a crowd. Your children are there and they're with you. So, you know, as tough as it may be, and as brave as you are to have written in and shared this story with us, and thank you for that, because that's very brave of you. As brave as you are, you know, how wonderful it is that you are surrounded by your children and that they continue to learn and they continue to grow. And that one day, Mary, you will see them again. Let's have our next question.
Okay.
I think just to say, as we're doing this, we are getting some live questions, are we not?
Actually, because of the storm and the technical difficulties.
No, so no live. Oh, that's a shame.
Dean's there, but he hasn't asked any questions yet.
Dean, my ever-present. Thank you. All right, so let's carry on then with our next question.
Well, 1 second. I would like you to take the opportunity. There may be some people who do not know how to type in. So if they could notice on the bottom right-hand side of their screen, very small, it says live chat. If you touch that, it'll get bigger, and that's where you
so
send a message.
look at the right side of your screen at the bottom in tiny letters. It says live chat. So click on live chat, and it will bring up a screen where you're able to type in your questions. So I don't want you all sitting there thinking that you can't do it. It's easy when you know how, as with everything. Oh, let's have our next question.
Okay, the next question is from Valerie, and she asks, why would a child choose to make a mom suffer by deciding to not live an entire life?
I don't think the intention is to make anyone suffer. I think the intention for all souls on this earth is to, to do what is right for them and to help them to learn and to help them to grow. But can you give me this lady's name again? Because I like this question.
I think I actually said the wrong name. It's Marta.
Marta.
Yes.
All right. So Marta. As I said a little while ago, death is not a punishment, although it feels very much like it. And when I had my 5 miscarriages, let me tell you, I thought it was a punishment. And I certainly suffered through them. Great pain and great heartache. I had 3 miscarriages before I had my daughter, and then I had 2 after I had my daughter. So, I know what the heartache of that feels like. However, pain, I know we don't want this, and I know you don't want to hear me say it, but pain and heartache and tears are the best tools that we can have for us to learn and for us to grow. And through my experience of having those miscarriages, it helps me. It helps me to understand other people. It helps me to understand other people's pain. Instead of simply being able to be sympathetic to someone else, I'm empathetic, because when you've gone through something like that yourself, you're able to empathize with other people who are going through the same thing. So as much as we don't want the gift, Marta, it's a gift. And, so I'm sure that the experiences that people go through and the pain and the suffering that people go through is valuable to us. We don't want it. It's the gift that we'd like to give back. But having been given it, let's decide to use it to help us to grow and to help us to become more empathetic and more understanding of others who are going through the same situation that we went through. Next question.
We do have a live question from Dean.
Oh, Dean, hello, darling. People are going to start talking about us, Dean.
And he'd like to know, how would I know if my baby that was miscarried was around? How would they appear, as a child, a teen, or an adult? And is that their own choice as to how they appear?
Yes. Yes. Wait a minute here, because it depends again on the soul. So the baby that you lost, let's say that baby's grown. You might catch a glimpse of a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old. You might catch a glimpse of somebody grown. It depends on that soul. It depends on the connection that you have. It basically depends on how sensitive you are and how much you make yourself aware of the possibility that you can in fact have this connection. I actually remember a young woman. Well, actually, she was probably in her late 40s or early 50s, and she came to me for a consultation, and she had lost her son very tragically. He was, I think you call it a crib death. One day she woke up. He was just a few months old, this little boy, and he died in the night. And that was 26 years prior to her coming to visit me. And I saw this young man of 26, and I'm describing him, and I gave her his name, and it was and she couldn't understand it. She kept saying no, it doesn't mean anything to me. I don't understand that. It doesn't mean anything. Until the young man started talking to her about the chest that she had with all of his baby stuff in, and started describing the baby stuff. And then he said to her, "I am that baby." And she was overwhelmed and so joyful, and had never thought, but she'd always thought of this baby that she lost as a baby. She'd always imagined him as a baby, and hadn't realized that here he was, 26 years old, and he was one of those helping people who are sick. And we, after a long illness, when we die, he was helping his angels to help people who were sick. So it was a great job that he had, a great thing that he was doing, and she was overjoyed with that. So you just have to, Dean, pay attention and to listen and to watch, and to try and to put yourself in that situation where you can just sit quietly. And if you want to connect with this child, just sit quietly and ask for them to visit. They may or they may not. You just have to, every child is different. Some children grow in the spirit world, some choose not to. Everyone's different, and everybody has their own agenda. But thank you for that live question. Can we have the next question?
It's that time of day for the personal question.
Oops. Okay.
Okay, Rosemary, have you ever been touched?
I know what this question is, because I thought long and hard about what I would like to tell people. So go ahead. Yes.
Have you ever been touched on a personal level regarding this subject? And what are your opinions on abortion?
Well, yes, as I've already said, I've had 5 miscarriages, and they were extremely painful. I would have liked to have had, well, actually, I was going to say dozens of kids, and of course that's not true. I'm good, but I'm not that good. I always wanted 3 children. I had in my head when I was, a teenager, I wanted 2 boys and a girl. Don't ask me why, but as a teenager, that was my ideal family, 2 boys and a girl. Well, I'm sure that I got my 2 boys and a girl and more besides, but I know how painful it is, and I've been through this experience. And again, we can weep and wail and continue on a negative path when we have traumas and trials to face, or we can take the positive road, and go down a positive route. However, now I'm going to reveal something that I've probably never talked about before, because I also, when Samantha was about 10 years old or 12 years old or something like that, I also had an abortion. Now, I know what the church says about abortion, and I know some of you will be horrified, because I'm a spiritual person, and how can I deliberately take somebody else's life, and so on and so forth. However, the circumstances left me with very little choice. Now, you notice I'm not saying no choice, because we always have a choice, but the circumstances left me with very little choice. I was much older by this time. I was 24 when I had my daughter, so I would have been 30-something, 36 or something. But when I had my daughter, I was on a full 9-month bed rest, and I almost, died, took a risk in having her. She was born healthy. We weren't sure if prior to her birth, but we were fortunate. She was born healthy and beautiful. She was a very small baby, but she was born healthy and beautiful. And here I am, sort of 10 or 12 years later, and I wanted children. Let me be clear. I wanted children. I wanted more children. But when it was discovered that I was pregnant again, my doctor sat me down, and he said, of all of the patients in all of the world, in all of my surgery, actually, he said, you are the worst candidate. And we did tests, and we went through certain situations, and it was considered extremely dangerous for me to have another baby. Now, the issue really wasn't then about whether or not I should carry this baby to term and take the risk. The issue was my daughter. The issue was I'm a mother and I have a 12-year-old and I was a single parent, remember? And so she only had me in the world to nurture her and care for her. So the issue is, am I going to risk my daughter being motherless, then in fact without a parent because her father had disappeared into the blue yonder, never to be seen again? So do I risk my daughter becoming basically an orphan? I was very close to my daughter. We're still very close now. We have an unusual and a very special relationship. So at the end of the day, my decision was really a no-brainer. At the end of the day, the decision was, I'm not going to risk my daughter becoming an orphan. I'm not going to risk my becoming so disabled through this, if I didn't die, so disabled through this, that I wouldn't be able to take care of my child. So I chose to have this abortion. Now, some churches will say it was a wicked thing. I took a life. I don't see it as a wicked thing. I see it as the only sensible choice that I could make for the child that I had. Be careful before you judge, when you judge people's actions. Be careful because you don't know the whole story. You don't know the whys and wheres of it. Now, here's the truth of it. If that was something that was sinful, that I did that was sinful, I'm sure that God is going to wrap me over the knuckles with it when it's my turn to go. So far, nobody wrapped me over the knuckles. So far, what this experience has done for me is to help me to understand and to become way less judgmental than I ever would have been. Because prior to this experience of mine, I was judgmental. I was of the opinion that we have choices and that no one should make the decision to take a life. No one should make the decision to abort a child. And I was very firm on that. But now here I am in this situation myself, having to make this decision for myself. And I did a complete flip around. It taught me a great deal. It taught me not to be judgmental. It taught me to be more open-minded, and it taught me to be more loving. And for all of those of you out there who feel guilt, which I have to tell you, I do not feel. I do not feel guilt because I know God as a loving God, and I know God as a gentle God, and I know God as an understanding God. And I also know, again, and I'm going to reiterate, a child comes into this world and has the experience of the mother's womb. And if that's all that is necessary, if that's the only experience they need, they get what they want and they move on, and their angels come to collect them. And I know this because I've been there with those angels and I've watched this happening again and again. I've been very fortunate to be able to watch this. Angels come for these children and lift them and help them to grow and to learn and to be nurtured in a way that we cannot nurture them here on this earth. So for all of you out there who are feeling guilty, for those of you, and I know because people come to me with this all the time, even those of you who've had miscarriages, as I've had those miscarriages, sometimes we feel, if we hadn't run up the stairs, which was what happened to me, if we hadn't run up the stairs, if we hadn't been, chasing a 2-year-old, if we hadn't done this, if we hadn't done that, or for those of you make the decision and have that abortion, if only we'd done this or this, is God punishing me for not having, these children, for making this decision? For all of those guilty feelings, I'm going to say to you, please don't do that to yourself. Please don't do that to yourself. Life here is difficult. It's not easy. Life here means that we have to make choices, sometimes choices that we don't want to make, sometimes choices we prefer not to make. What is important is that we have right intention. I did not choose to destroy a life. I choose to save a mother for her daughter. Those of you who've taken this choice, whatever the choice was and for whatever reason you made the choice, there's always a reason you make the choice. Don't beat yourself up over it. Please don't beat yourself up over it. It's not necessary. When the time comes and it's your turn to go, I'm sure that, you'll discover that God is a loving God. And our angels are loving. And our angels take care of us. And even when we make our stupid decisions, sometimes not so stupid decisions, even when we do things that we wish we could take back, whatever it is we do, please remember God is a loving God. And he nurtures us. And he takes care of us. And guess what? He forgives us our transgressions too. So,
just have to say,
yes.
You have a fan in Argentina.
Hello, fan in Argentina.
He wants you to know, they want you to know that they read your book, There You Go on the Rose, and it was signed by yourself.
This is yes. Something live coming in?
Yes, during...
You click that little live button then, right?
During one of your stays in Chile, and they want you to know it was a wonderful book for them.
Oh, so do we have a name for these people?
Last
you can't
name
pronounce
Diaz.
It right.
His last name is Diaz.
Diaz. Well, thank you, Mr. and Mrs.
I'm not
Diaz.
sure.
We love the fact that you're live. We love the fact that you're watching. I remember my stay in Chile very, very, very well. And do I have some great stories there? So thank you for writing. And we hope you have a great day in Argentina. And please keep visiting us. All right. Now we just have some little bit of business to take care of here. And that would be, so we're coming up to Halloween. So we're going to do some spooky stuff. I laugh about it because, nothing's really very spooky to me, but I'm going to be telling one or two little ghost stories, which will be fun and also enlightening, I think. Next week, what is our topic next week? Reincarnation. Oh, that's a big topic, and I don't really want to do this, but I'm going to do it because we've had so many questions, and my opinion might be different than many, but that's good. It was what makes it, what makes this fun, and it's always good to have other and differing opinions. So we're going to be talking about reincarnation. Does it happen? Is it true? If so, where do we go? What opportunities can we have? Do we come back to this earth? And if so, how? All of those questions. So let's have those questions coming in. We've already got quite a few, but please keep coming with them. What else?
The contest is...
Oh, the contest. In order to be eligible for our contest, you have to subscribe to YouTube. I'm not really sure why you have to, but you do. It's the only way I think we can get to you. But we are going to, on the 1st or 2nd of November, we're going to start with some questions. And our competition is going to run for 6 weeks. And so that means we're going to have 6 prizes. Don't get too excited, but I can tell you that there will be let's say a star prize, a big prize at the end of that. So, we're going to put names in a hat. Every week we're going to have a winner, so for the 6 weeks. So, and it should be fun. We are going to attach our competition questions to the YouTube videos. Now, maybe there'll be these live chats, or maybe it will be the Rosemary in the kitchen videos. So you might want to brush up on some of the stuff that we've already done, and so that'll be fun. But we're looking forward to that. And then this competition, the 6 weeks, will culminate. I think it'll be a week or two before December 15th. So the last competition will be December 15th, and then we'll announce the winner, I think, before Christmas. So yes, somebody's going to get a nice Christmas gift there. Then, now, if you want to participate, if you want to send in your stories, I'm dying for you to send in your stories, so please send in stories. If you've got any spooky stories, we'd love to have those, because, the month of October, we're going to be doing the Halloween stuff and telling some spooky stories, and that, you know, that could be fun. You can reach me, www.rosemaryaltea.com. That's the website. You can email me at rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter. Anything else? Oh, and you can find me on YouTube, of course. Just click the link and you can find me on YouTube. And
that is the only requirement for this contest, is you have to be a subscriber.
Right. The only requirement for the contest is that you do have to be a subscriber to YouTube. You cannot enter unless you are a subscriber. So get subscribing. It doesn't cost you anything, remember, to subscribe. You know, we're not making oodles and noodles of money out of this. So you just click on subscribe and then you're done. If you don't know how to subscribe, or if you're having difficulty with YouTube at all, feel free to email us again, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com. And there was something else I was going to say, and I'm blowed if I could think what it is now. But check us out. Keep checking us out. Have a great and blessed day. Wait, don't click that button for a minute. We thank Grey Eagle, because I often forget to thank him, but we thank Grey Eagle. I thank Carolyn, and I most of all thank all of you for watching. Keep watching. Keep sending in your questions. We love this. The next cooking show is going to be, and it might be sometime in the next 2 or 3 days, I am going to make Rosemary's, wait a minute, Rosemary's, what am I going to make? Ginger chicken wings with a little oriental flavor. They are so good and they are so delicious. So join me for that. I'm not sure what day it'll be. It might even be next week, but we'll let you know. Just keep checking on Facebook or Twitter for us. We'll let you know when that one's up as well. Have a blessed, blessed day, and we'll see you next time.